Welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast with author Sarah F. Hathaway and co-host Chen Gibson. Blending survival, fiction, and fact to bring you entertaining education that will help you dream, survive, and thrive. And now, here's your host, Sarah F. Hathaway and Chen Gibson.
Chapter 50. Traveling across the broken landscape was not the smooth ride of the past, and the trip back to Reno took much longer than Cole would have liked. By the time they got home, there was only one day to prepare before they would be back on the road again. "Sir, you can't leave me here," Johnny pleaded as Cole finished packing his bag. "I can and am, Private," Cole told him. "But you took me with you to the homesteads. I know what's going on," Johnny argued. "That's exactly why you're staying here." Johnny huffed angrily. "I don't understand. You're just like my father." Cole zipped up his bag, throwing it over his shoulder. "Come here," he commanded, walking with him into the other room. He put his bag by the door and returned to his desk. "Private, I am your commanding officer, and when I give you an order, it is to be followed without question," Cole told him sternly. Johnny didn't say anything. He stood sheepishly, wondering how he should respond. Cole reached into his desk drawer and pulled out a wooden stick. It was beautifully carved with a dragon's head on one side, a lion on the other, and Johnny's family crest in the middle. He held it out to Johnny as he approached the young man. "But Johnny, I am nothing like your father, and I love you like a son. I'm going to have too many pieces on the game board to risk losing you," Cole told him sternly. Johnny looked up at Cole with a tear in his eye. He gently took the carved stick from Cole. "I made that for Dad," Johnny said. "I know," Cole admitted. "I threw it away." "I know." "And you saved it? And preserved it?" "I did." Wrapping his arms around Cole, Johnny hugged him tightly. "No more arguing with orders," Cole told him. "Yes, sir," Johnny agreed. "Make sure you get the next set of trucks up north. We're going to need them," Cole instructed, picking up his backpack. "Yes, sir, I'll get it done." "Be careful, Major," Johnny replied. Walking out into the parking lot, Monroe and Chappie had the teams ready to move. A soldier took his bag to stow it away, and he jumped into the passenger seat of the transport. "How come you didn't want Johnny to come with us?" Chappie asked as he pulled the truck out of the base. "I have enough to worry about without having him with me," Cole explained. "How so?" Monroe wondered, leaning up from the back. "William Baker had his main base of operations in this town. We're going to hit it fast and hard so we can have it cleaned up before the feds get there," Cole told them. Chappie looked at him concerned. "Did you warn Cassidy?" "I didn't know she was at the homesteads. She overheard Nickelton and me talking," Cole replied. Juiced for the battle, they rode on in silence. The dark clouds overhead amassed gloomily on the horizon as they approached the mountains. Not long after that, they started to unleash their fury on the land below. "Oh shit, sir. This is going to be fun," Monroe commented, watching a bolt of lightning strike in the distance. Nearing the town, the radio crackled. "Sir, we're taking fire." "Here we go, gentlemen," Cole told Monroe and Chappie before answering the radio. "Take the left side. We're coming up on the right. Use light arms only. These people are not our enemies." 10-4, sir," the soldier responded. The rain poured down as they drove into the small town. 2 rows of buildings formed the street, rapidly becoming a muddy swamp. "Exit the vehicle. Let's rush the people back to the large building at the end of town," Cole called to the fighters in the back. As Chappie pulled the vehicle to a stop, the soldiers jumped out and went to accomplish their jobs. Cole hung back, watching the crews move. The gunfire was slowing and more people surrendered. Cole picked his radio up, listening to Monroe's report. "Sir, we're just about wrapped up here. Most people understand the threat of the lake, and this rain isn't helping that situation." "I'm on my way," Cole replied. He hated the way the mud stuck to his boots and couldn't wait for this job to be over. There was something about this town he didn't like. Monroe stood with a brown-haired man with an average build. "This is the mayor of Hopetown, Des Ravati," Monroe introduced the man. "Nice to meet you, sir," Cole greeted him. Sorry for the fuss when you arrived. We understand the lake is unstable and what that means for us. But some of the residents... I understand, Cole said, cutting him off. We're all stuck. The mayor produced a genuine smile and nodded at Cole. Understand that the feds are going to be after supplies. You need to organize your people and make sure you fill the transports, Cole advised him. Sir, Monroe called. Here comes Commander Burns. A large man with a square chin and hair cut to match approached with his hand extended. Major Virgis, I'm surprised they sent you here for this job. You certainly are making quick work of it, though. This is the mayor of the town. He's all yours. We'll gather what supplies we want, Cole said shortly, walking away from the refugees and into the street. Sounds fair enough, the commander agreed, following him. We'll help you load the people in transports. We need to move quickly, Cole instructed. What's the rush? We need supplies before people, the commander commented. Cole stopped walking and looked the commander in the eyes. Don't play that bullshit game here, Commander. The commander's face grew redder, and he snapped. I'm in charge here. Your assistance is appreciated, but no longer needed. Frustrated with the man, and knowing he could do nothing about it, Cole replied, It's your call, sir, before walking away. Chappie approached as Cole looked up the street. He was watching the refugee crews sweep the buildings for supplies. Any sign of Cassidy or her father, Monroe wondered. They must have packed up and left already, thank goodness. What about this refugee woman you're looking for, Monroe wondered as Chappie returned from his scouting mission. Report, Sergeant, Cole requested. Their crews are clearing those buildings over there. Looks like they're focused on the building with the materials, but I can't tell which one is Erica in this rain. They'll stop for the night after the town is clear. We'll camp with them. Let's focus on getting the supplies we need and getting these people loaded, whether the feds like it or not. Another hour in the rain passed as the soldiers loaded what they could scavenge. Trying to leave as quickly as possible, the town's citizens pitched in, clearing the food, liquor, and clothing. That's it, Major. We're ready to roll, sir, Monroe declared, looking at the loaded vehicles. A gunshot and the sound of shouting rang out from one of the buildings the refugees were unloading. What the hell was that? Chappie wondered, approaching quickly. I don't know, Cole said, running towards the building. He met the commander in the doorway. What's going on here, Commander? Cole's heart sank as the commander explained. The refugee squad uncovered a mass of refugees in a hole. That refugee there shot one of them, he explained, pointing out Erica. Some of them are on our bounty list. They're all going to Vegas for questioning. Commander Burns' attention was caught by a couple of confused soldiers. We can load them for you. We're already locked and loaded, Cole offered. Thank you. I need to wrap up the operation, but those refugees are going with us in our transports, he clarified before leaving. Of course, Cole responded. Sergeant Monroe and Chappie moved these people onto the transport. Yes, sir, they replied. Chappie went to search their faces as Monroe took point. Everybody please step out. Time is limited and we need to get you to safety, Monroe informed them. Given the hostile circumstances, they had to apply restraints to the hands of these refugees. As the last refugee was brought out, Cole's heart broke, and he went to personally apply the zip ties. Cassidy's hair and face were still wet with blood, and her sorrowful eyes pierced Cole's heart. He gently took her bloody hands into his own. Don't worry, Cassidy. I'll figure out something. I'll get you out of there, Cole told her in a whisper. Cassidy's eyes turned crazed, and she yelled, She shot my father, Cole! The bitch splattered his brains all over me. I'm sorry, Cassidy. I'll ensure his body is honored, Cole assured her. Make sure that bitch goes in the ground with him, Cassidy screamed. I'll come for you. I promise, Cole said quietly. That's it. Everyone get out of town. The dam is about to go, Burns commanded, pointing at the mountain in the distance. Another earthquake shook the ground, and the dam began to break. Cole scrambled back to the vehicle with Monroe and Chappie leaving well ahead of the impending calamity. Those federal a-holes, they left a whole group of people in the building, Monroe told him. What? Cole asked. Why didn't you tell me? There was no time. There was the Cassidy debacle, and then we had to go, Monroe explained. The refugee rescue squads were still in town when we left, Chappie said. Don't worry. They have so many supplies, the feds will get them out. William is dead? Monroe asked. He is. I told Cassidy I would get his body, but there was no time, Cole pondered. Erica killed him, Chappie asked. She did. And now the feds are taking Cassidy to Vegas. Does Cassidy know Erica killed her father, Chappie wondered. The man's brains were splattered all over her face, so yeah, she knows, Cole said, shaking his head in disbelief at the circumstances. Damn, how are you going to be able to use Erica now, Monroe asked. I don't know if I can. Cassidy will never go for it, and she'll be a big part of the militia leadership now. Certainly puts a wrench in the process, Chappie commented. Why are we still going to the camp? This rain sucks. If we can't use Erica, we could go back to Reno. I still want to meet her. We came all this way. Chappie directed the transport towards a large camp set up in a fallow field to house the refugee and militia squads for the night. Smiling with delight, Chappie declared, I could use a drink sooner rather than later. He pulled the vehicle into a parking spot. The crowd's noise and the smell of cooking food filled the air as they stepped out. Looks like the party has already started. Come on, Monroe. We deserve a break, Chappie insisted. He wrapped his arm around Monroe, and Monroe smiled, humoring the man. Cole turned to Jessup, instructing, Private, get camp set up. Come on, boys. Hello, and welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast. This is episode number 452, season 15, episode 50. Hey, Chin, what's up?
Hey, chin's up, y'all.
I was having fun messing with our mics before.
Push buttons.
Waiting too long. I'm excited to be here. Hey, we got some guys over in the chat room, guys and gals. Hello, everyone in the chat. I put up a whole bunch of links to flooding information there for you guys. So
Flooded us with links.
Flooded. Yeah. There's a particular theme that works itself back time and time again in my books. I guess you would not know what that is unless you just saw all those links that just went up there. So, audio drama. Episode 2 is out. It's so good, guys. Get over there and check it out. Easiest way to watch it really is on YouTube. It's just really easy to play with that player, I guess. Play with the player. I try not to say the same word repeatedly like that.
You're
right. Yeah, like switch it up. So yeah, season 4 subscribers that are paid subscribers, you guys get the 1 week early access. That's commercial free. So you guys are actually listening to episode 3. And there's just, this season is just nonstop. It's so much action. The episodes are so intricate to put together because it's just jamming. So, enjoy it. It's really cool. Music lovers, I hooked up the link to Epidemic Sound. They're the new sound place, I guess, that I'm using. And I created the Changing Earth audio drama playlist link there. So if you are loving the music that's inside of it, you can go over there. I'm slowly adding all the songs that are actually in it there. But there's a good grip of content over there right now. So check that out. A little crow I got to eat this episode, first things first. And all of you live listeners, too. Last week, I played Chapter 49, and I actually spoke about Chapter 50. So if you were like, what is she talking about? You were absolutely right. This week was Chapter 50, when Virgis says goodbye to Johnny, and they go to Hopetown, and Cassie's father loses his life there. So yeah, when I was putting my work together this week, I was like, what? I thought we already did this. No, I already did that. We didn't already do that. All right, so we are discussing escaping the flood this week. Yeah. What's the line, Chin?
All about the right pedal.
About the what?
Never let up.
Oh, yeah. Just run right through it. I tried that. My license plate got bent out forward, And it wasn't even that thick of water. But good old James Yeager.
Yep. That's what I think about every time we talk about high water and flooding.
Yes. I know that was the most awkward interview to do ever, I think. Because he just answered every question. Did you never drive through the floodwaters? Ever. I was like, yes, sir.
No. It's entertaining to be on this chair.
Yeah, I bet. Because I was like, well, what if he's like, no. I'm like, well, what if you get out and no? I'm like, okay, so what are we going to talk about then?
It's like trying to move a boulder. He wasn't going to move.
He did it. There was no like special circumstance.
Nope.
No.
Don't do it.
But he's absolutely right. Typically, flooding events go away quickly. Like it happens and then it recedes, and there was really no reason why you needed to go through there at the time you did. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people have lost their lives, like in their vehicles just getting picked up and carried away. So he's absolutely right. It can wait, you know. Okay, so if you haven't noticed right now on our planet, things seem a little bit more extreme. It is the changing Earth in full motion, right? And as our magnetic shielding keeps deteriorating, the high pressures are going to be more intense and the low pressures are going to be more intense. That means we're going to have more and more of these flooding events. So it's really important to know what to do, even if you're like, we've never had a flood before, ever. A lot of people said that probably this morning in Iowa, and then look what happens, you know. So, that hasn't happened for 100 years or whatever. Well, guess what? You just don't know. So it is smart to know what to do in a flood and how to respond, keep your family safe. Most of the time when I see things that are from overseas, and it hasn't been like a really long, prolonged flooding event, people are dying because of electrocution for the most part. So keep in mind, electricity and water never mix. I know that in a lot of those countries, their electrical systems are a lot more kind of pieced together than here in the States. But still, huge risk of water and electricity. So I've never really researched too deep into like if your house suddenly fills up with water and you haven't shut the panel off, what happens when the water hits the sockets? Does it just start shorting out all those fuses?
You would hope.
That's what, yeah. Right, but you don't know. Probably the rubber waders are like the safest thing to have to maneuver a flood in. Because we've talked before in the past about like the quality of the water that you're now walking around in or swimming in because you think it's fun, you know?
Oh goodness! Like every time you get like major flooding in like at a coastal city, and they show people like kayaking and surfboarding, and it's like, you know what's in that water,
right? Yeah. Definitely not good stuff. Sewage and yeah. So
all I could think of, like at Charleston, they do the horse carriage tours.
Oh, uh-huh.
And, like the horses are like taking care of business in the street, and so all the stuff's in the pavement and stuff.
Oh yeah.
You get all these college kids thinking, how much fun is this?
I keep thinking like West Coast when it's like all the homeless population and whatnot, and then they're just like excrementing human stuff all over the place.
Yep.
And
what's in the streets?
Yeah. So don't be throwing your trash in the street because, again, in a lot of places where the flooding becomes a major problem, it's because the drainage systems that were built to get rid of the water are clogging up with trash. So take care of your trash so that everything flows nicely. But, again, most of this is short term, so you should never drive through the floodwater. And know the routes to high ground. Know what water typically does, like, this is your area reconnaissance, right? So,
Yeah.
So, like, what does the water typically do?
When you have a heavy rain or something, where does it always flood? Every time it floods on this street or this neighborhood, right?
Mm-hmm. That's the street you're not going to. And this last storm event, we got a chance to see that big time around here on, what streets. I mean, they took damage, total erosion.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then one, like these are like two of my ways out were completely messed up from that rain. So,
I'm in the mountains. I'm like, I don't have to worry about flooding, not like at the coast. But then I'm like, well, what about these roads?
right?
Because a lot of like the mountain streams and the mountain rivers will just crush a road.
Yeah, and a beat. They take it out fast.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that was down the road from us. They lost like half the road down there from it, and it was fine, right before that. So this is more area study to include in your area study of your area.
Study.
I am not coming up. I'm like not thesaurusing today. I don't know what's wrong. Like, come on, author brain, click on.
Like a t-shirt. That sounds like a t-shirt. I'm not thesaurusing today.
I'm not thesaurusing today. Thank you. But around your house too, like how the water moves around your house. So we're on a hill. I'm not worried about it like piling up water, but if we had extreme rain event, which we did, where does the water flow and move? There was rivers in my yard that aren't normally there, that kind of thing, right? So is that too close to your house? Because when I hear about deaths from flooding, another major source is it actually erodes like the under foundation under a house, and then the exterior wall collapses in and kills who's ever inside. So that's another really, think about that. How is the water moving? If you got just an insane amount of rain, we're talking, huge numbers, 7 feet in one day, that kind of thing. Or 7 inches, that kind of rain that's coming that fast, that hard. How is that rain going to move around your structure, and would that negate your structure? If any of that is a yes, you need to get on that right now and start moving some dirt around to get the drainage sorted out around your place. Really important, even if you're on a high area. So I kind of learned that when we were at prepper camp, year 1. I mean, we were in kind of a low area, so but still,
Next lake.
Yeah, everything just came right at us. So keep that in mind. That's from, watching these storms, from reporting on them. That's really what I've seen as the biggest issues. So flooding basics, when it comes to flooding basics, you always tease about having an attic and a boat, or having an axe and a boat in your attic, just in case. Galveston just got hit. I figured out why all those houses are on piers down there when we went down.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like that next weekend, it was like huge, this last storm that came through. So, yeah, I'm not opposed. Now, people ask too, like, because, one of my thoughts as well was like, well, you could have a blow up raft. If it was like a big time flood, you could just have like a legit one, like a rafting one or something in your attic, the blow up raft. But if you think about all the debris that's floating around in that water, having a rubber raft might not be the best idea. Because it can pierce. So it's just something to think about. Getting the rowboat.
How are you going to get a John boat up into your attic?
A rowboat in your attic? You'd have to like open it up from the side. Yeah, my husband thinks I'm nuts over that one. I'm like, we need a boat in the attic. He's like, what are you talking about, woman?
And the little hoist that you can lift, like they use it for hay and stuff.
Yeah. Like to get hay up into the barn. No, you can't do that. But it's just something to think about. If you're in a flood prone area, most of the time, tsunamis, like where you're thinking about a raft would have enough debris to really get pierced. Most of the time, the rubber raft is going to be significant to be able to get you out of floodwaters. So, having supplies up there, though, if you got everything on ground floor and you don't have any supplies stored up in the attic area, it's really tough because it's hot up there. But maybe when the rain starts, you better start shuttling it or something. It just happens so fast, you know? But that would be a consideration. I'd be in that boat. Most of my stuff's all on ground floor. I wouldn't have food and water up in my attic. But you sure be thankful you did if you were hiding from a flood up there. We may have lost Chin.
Oh, can you hear me?
Oh, I didn't hear you for a while.
Backstroke.
Oh, yeah. I think you're already out at the pool having margaritas.
I don't have a pool.
I'm getting mine set up again. Water storage.
I heard you were smart. You delegated.
Oh, yeah. I was researching my podcast today, so I couldn't be out there in the 100-degree heat doing that. No, sir.
Come get me when the tiki bar's open.
Yeah. I'll come. Where's the air mattress at? Float around on that thing for a while. So no, the hot man. It just went from nice temperature to Texas hell in the matter of like a day. So, and I know the Midwest is getting socked as well. And they started out the week north part of the United States started out the week with snow, and then they went straight to hell temps like in really fast. So that's no good. All right, so long-term flooding events. What if areas that didn't hold water before start just filling up with water because of the changing earth? I mean, look at southern Brazil. There's areas in Saudi Arabia where new lakes are forming. So are you ready to leave? And like, where is your bug out location? Is that going to be okay? If we suddenly got like a lot more water than what we're used to. So those are just, questions to start thinking about as far as long-term events. What does relocation look like for your family? Your family. What is that? Do you have somebody in a good area? Where the planet's headed? I would start, like, even if you're like, this is never going to happen here. Like, ever. Yeah. I would start thinking about it. You can't rule anything out these days. We're going to talk about it in Changing Earth News. There's some stuff. And signs are showing that our planet is on the track to have this magnetic pole reversal where the Earth is going to do a tilt, right? All the signs are lining up for it. And so during this event, we're going to see oceanic slosh, which will be rather interesting. So some coastlines, the water is going to pull back, then tsunamis coming in, big tsunamis coming across continents, things like that. So Ben, over at Suspicious Observers, he came up with like a little way to measure your score. How well you survive at your location, right? So you take your elevation in feet and you add it to the miles that you are from the ocean. So anybody over in live chat, let's see some of your numbers. How do you do that again? So you take your elevation in feet. How high are you? And how far away from the ocean are you?
Add that plus.
And you add that together.
And then what's the is there like a chart for?
Yeah. There's a chart. I want to see some numbers first, though. What's your number?
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I know one. Oh my!
Get it done. Yeah, you just got to Google it.
So I know Google. Okay, fine. Keep talking. I'll
what do you Google?
Map.
How many feet is my town?
Well, I know my elevation, so that's not a problem. It's the
How far from the ocean are you?
yeah.
And I did like just from the closest point. I didn't do like the I didn't do like the closest town. I just did like as the crow flies, how far from the ocean am I?
Oh, that's probably.
My elevation is, I'll say about 614 foot. And then I'm like a couple hundred miles from the ocean. So I'm like 841. What's yours?
Give me a second. You are just
dude. You're usually fast with this stuff. You're like boom.
I need to hire a grandson, a techie grandson.
Yes. It's the new biz. It's the new biz.
Which grade?
What about you guys? We got Jorate in the chat. Hopefully I say that right and I don't slaughter his name. And Garden Girl, come on, come up with some numbers for me. Well, Garden Girl is gonna be basically the same as me.
Yeah, I'm like, so the total is like 1350.
1350? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so here's the breakdown. 5,000 plus is the safest areas. If you got a 5,000 or more on your score, you're in one of the safest areas. If you get a 4,000 to 5,000, you're in a lower risk. 3 to 4, so every 1,000 down, right? So 1,000 to 2,000, which is where you're at, is very high risk for tsunami. Yep. And
get out of Dodge.
Below 1,000 is prepare to float. That's me. That's why I want to have the boat in the attic with the axe. Or like design a bobber.
That's just hard to fathom. How far,
Yep.
How far I am.
Yeah. We're talking that type of tsunamis is what is being predicted. If it were to have like the oceanic slosh. I'm telling you, I'll go grab the video and put it up there in the.
Why do you listen to this podcast?
I'm telling you. Obviously you're gonna want to be away from cities. You want to be away from oceans, faults, volcanoes. Ooh, St. Helens is making noise again. And good climate. So the climate now, and then he'll show you the flip too. And so it shows you where you are on the earth after the flip, like the predicted flip. So obviously it's,
So this is at his website?
Yeah, on the videos. I'm going to put the link up to the one where I get the... where I got those numbers from. Yeah. Because that was, it was like the be prepared for the, and I was like, oh no, I'm preparing to float? What? Don't
spend too much time in the wine cellar.
Yeah, see, and that's why too. Oh yeah, let's go underground. And then, yeah. But Texas is supposed to be like right on the equator afterwards, so that's awesome.
I think it's hot now.
Yeah, true. Very true. All right, I am going to look for it because I should have earmarked it, but I didn't. I know where it is, though. All right, so yeah, that's the flooding. The flooding world, guys. Basically, you got to be smart. You got to be safe. You got to stay out of that stuff when it's there. Chances are it's not going to be there long. So there's no sense in risking yourself or your family or your pets or whatever. Tons of people can get out of their car when it's flooded like that, but then they have to get their pets out or whatnot. Just don't risk it. Of course, water rescues, you're going to be using ropes, things like that. If you have to cross any kind of a current, can really take you out very fast, no matter how good of a swimmer you are or how sturdy or strong you are. Water is to be respected. 2 people just died in the riptide just the other day, in Florida. So water, whether it's a river, an ocean, flooding, whatever, respect water, because just a tablespoon of that stuff in your lungs and it's over. So definitely, that's why James Yeager answered the way he did, because it's that important to know, like, it's just, you don't do it. It's not worth it. It's like, staying to defend your car if you're being mugged. Like, leave the car, obviously, and get to safety. So, again, be respectful of it and know that it can quickly erode underneath things. Like I was talking about the road, and that can be your house. So that's a major concern to be aware of. All right, let's jump into some Changing Earth news, because I got some good stuff.
Play that funky music.
Dream, survive, thrive. This is Changing Earth News.
All right, Changing Earth News. Today is June 23rd, 2024. Minor solar flaring, nothing of, huge concern headed earthbound right now. Watching out for some potential filament eruptions and some new sunspots turning in towards the Earth that we will have eyes on, biggies, but everything's been pretty copacetic up there. We had a 6.0 earthquake. It was a deep strike north of Venezuela. So they are keeping their eyes on that area for potential of future earthquakes coming in that area. It could be surface activity. So that is an alert if you're down in that area. Sorry, I'm just looking back at my volcano stuff because I wanted to see. It's crazy this week. Okay. Iowa tornado. The one that happened on June 23rd has broken. No. It had to be before that because that's today's date. But it has broken the record for the strongest tornado ever recorded. 300-mile-an-hour winds. That last record was set in 1999, so that one has broken it, the one that hit Iowa. I was in the winds that were clocking at our house when we were having those storms were 90-mile-an-hour winds. Mm-hmm. That was insane to, even be near where it was blowing by, right? I got 300-mile-an-hour winds. That, man, that's epic. That's some crazy stuff. Saharan dust is on the way to Texas. So if you are in the same area as me, we're going to be seeing some of that end of June. So there'll be some beautiful sunsets out there. I'll try to get the camera out, get some for you guys. June 17th, 2024, there was 398 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was a 5.6 in the Coral Sea. On the 16th, the day before that, there was a 6.0 in the Peru region. So that was a pretty darn significant earthquake. Calgary hit by a snowstorm on the 17th. Illinois hit by a dust storm on the 17th. And the United Arab Emirates were also hit with massive dust storms, as well as Punjab and Pakistan. On the 18th, there was 417 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, the biggest of which was 5.6 in the South Pacific Ocean. There was a 2.9 earthquake on the Cascadia Fault, and that area is continuing to make some noise. So eyes on Cascadia big time. In the western part of the United States, 20 wildfires were actively burning 100,000 acres. We're going to get to our wildfire reporting, so it is lighting up out west. On the 19th, there was 394 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger. 19th is a very important day. That was my birthday, so, national holiday and all. There was 394 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger. The biggest of which was 5.7 in the South Atlantic Ocean, right by the South Sandwich Islands. Chin's fave, I know. It's legit. 2.9 in Stanley, Idaho. That's the Yellowstone area. So we got our eyes on that one. Massive earthquake in Iran. 4 people died in that event. 120 people were injured. So prayers for everybody dealing with that. 1.6 earthquake in Sparta, North Carolina hits the news. So just, these little earthquakes all over the place. Like with that magnetic pole shift, that's when the crustal displacement starts to happen. We're going to see some more earthquakes. Montana was hit by a freak snowstorm, as well as Michigan and New Jersey. They got rain on my birthday in June. New Mexico dust storm on that day. On the 20th, there was 331 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was another 5.2 near the South Sandwich Islands.
Again.
All right. God was hungry. Campi Flegrei, Italy, still producing significant earthquake swarms on a weekly basis. This is some scary stuff that's going on with Campi Flegrei. There's like 500,000 people in that caldera. Major cities. That is crazy to have that waking up. On June 21st, 24, there was 376 earthquakes or 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was a 5.5 in the central mid-Atlantic ridge. Siouxland, Iowa, there was flooding from a rain event. They're dealing with that right now. Big time flooding up there. Tropical storm Alberto departs after flooding parts of Mexico and Texas. Unfortunately, 4 people did lose their lives in Mexico due to that tropical storm activity. New Mexico, the South Fork fire and the salt fires burned 2,800 acres of land and left a village in ruin, killing 2 people, destroying 500 homes. That was a really sad event that happened out there in New Mexico. Newfoundland, Churchill Falls was hit by a massive wildfire. Residents were scrambling to evacuate. That's some interesting footage if you look that up on YouTube. June 22nd, there was 353 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was a 5.2 in the South Pacific Ocean near Tonga. Mount St. Helens starting to wake up. 350 earthquakes since February. 4.3 earthquake in NorCal. 5.0 in the Aleutian Trench, that's over by Alaska. South Dakota saw flooding. Minnesota saw flooding. They have rivers and streams just overflowing. Switzerland also hit by floods. Dozens dead in China from massive flooding. New Mexico dealing with flooding in the areas that were burned. So that's, a lot of runoff and you get the ash and the ground. There's nothing to hold the ground there. In the pilgrimage over in Mecca, they were hit by a massive heat wave that killed 1,300 people. So that was a really sad, unfortunate event. And like I said, with all the flooding stories and the heat, you can see the high pressures are becoming just more extreme. The low pressures are becoming more extreme. And then where they meet together is becoming even more extreme, producing these record tornadoes and things like that. Today is June 23rd, 2024. There have been 380 earthquakes that are 2.0 or bigger so far. The biggest of which was that 6.0 in the South Caribbean Sea near Venezuela. Iowa's flash flooding leads to evacuation. That's around Rock Valley. Rains have just swollen the river. They're breaking levees. Dangerous heat is blanketing much of the U.S., including areas that don't usually have heat on this level, so they don't have a lot of the air conditioning and stuff that the South does. So everybody stay safe out there. New York was on the bullseye for a lot of tornado activity tonight, so be careful as the sun starts to set. Saskatchewan, there was severe storms, and they were also getting tornado risk today, so everybody be safe. As for volcanoes, there are 30, I had to recount it, 34 erupting volcanoes on our planet right now, which is the highest number I've ever seen. That's up one more from last week. The amount that are showing minor activity has remained the same, and the amount showing unrest has also remained the same. So that means we just added one more to the list, and we have 34 volcanoes actively erupting on our planet right now. Insane, guys. That's a really high number. You just don't see that. So as far as wildfires in the United States, we have 2 new fires, 24 actively burning, 153,316 acres on fire. 2 of those fires have been contained. Number 1 state showing wildfire activity is Alaska. They have 1 new fire, 7 currently burning, total of 58,526 acres. That is 0% contained. California is number 2 on the list with 1 new fire, 5 currently burning, 41,989 acres on fire. Those are 0% contained. New Mexico, they have no new fires, but they have 4 current fires still burning, 38,943 acres with none of those contained. And in Arizona, they have no new fires, but they have 3 currently burning, total of 5,213 acres, and none of that is contained. Can you believe all that flooding last week? That's why I was like, well, I was like, that's a good topic for this week. Oh my gosh. So, guys, listening live, I put up all the links to our past flood information in the live chat. For those of you who aren't listening live, I'll go ahead and link those shows over in the blog for the episode, or at least on the page there. 34 actively erupting volcanoes. And I guess last week or last month is when we had the major solar activity, and we did see an uptick in earthquake numbers. And so it would make sense to see the uptick in volcanic numbers as well. But wow. That was crazy. I've never seen it that high in all the years that we've been doing this. So pretty cool stuff. Like I said earlier, one way or another, it's still going to be an adventure. It's going to be crazy to see what happens next. We got to start getting together and loving each other a little bit more, because, we're going to need to be there for each other as this stuff unfolds.
Right?
Yeah. Got to come together and make this happen, because, wow.
Sounds like together.
Right now. Over the changing earth. Yeah. Woo.
You make the remix.
That's right. Do the parody. No, it's so true, though. If we have prepared communities who can respond, help one another, and then vice versa, then everything could work so well. And we'd be able to just really weather any storm. But, I have a feeling there's going to be some storm activity before November, so yay! People versus the planet. Planet just said, here, hold my beer.
A beer. That's right.
You guys think you're all that? Mm-hmm. Well,
that pool filled up.
Yep, getting that pool filled up. You got it. Oh. Alrighty, guys. Well, hopefully you enjoyed the Virgis episode and you're ready for the flood, because we have been on it. Oh, I was going to talk a little bit of the flood restoration. We did a really great episode in the past on what to do after the flood. Because, like, okay, I'm prepared. I get ready. The flood happens. Now what do I do? So hopefully it wasn't a mud flood, because those are the worst. Just get back afterwards, because you literally have to dig everything out. But average flood, you're looking at, especially if you're in the south, you're in humid areas, you've got to remove all of that stuff. All your carpet, the drywall, pretty much anything that got wet, and get it all dried out and bleached. Probably have, mold remediation, some kind of specialist like that come in. But it was really came down to make sure you can just dry it out 100% and bleach it to make sure that you don't have mold develop in the future. So anybody who just got flooded, I am so sorry, because that does not sound like a fun process to take care of afterwards. A lot of the houses in Galveston are really cool, though, how they're built all on the stilts.
Yeah.
So it's just like your garage or whatnot that would be flooding out. Hopefully you don't have your car there anymore. But yeah, because they're really built to handle it. But I'm sure you still wouldn't want it to happen, But not in Iowa, that's for sure. So everybody stay safe. I hate saying stay safe, but it seems like an appropriate thing to say, being that a lot of the United States is under like severe heat warnings or storm warnings or, things like that. So do your best to be prepared so that you can weather the storm, so you feel confident going into it, because everything is scary enough. It's just like with self-defense. If you're not prepared when you go into that moment, then at that moment's a whole lot more scary than if you already kind of brainstormed it. You have an action plan. You have all of your go bags and everything ready to rock. You know your route. Then at least you have a plan that you can adapt and overcome with, instead of just like getting thrown into the sandbox and trying to build a castle without directions, right? So... fun stuff. All right, guys, check out the Changing Earth audio drama. I'd love to hear your guys' feedback on it. I worked really hard, so I'd love to get feedback on things like that, how much you love it, or what you think I could do better, or anything. So really appreciate that. Head over there, check it out. Like and subscribe to Changing Earth, author Sarah F. Hathaway, while you're over there on YouTube. And then you can always stop into my main hub at changingearthseries.com, changingearthseries.com. All of my links are there. All of this information's there. So until next time, remember, dream,
survive,
thrive.
Thank you for joining Sarah and Chen for this episode of the Changing Earth podcast. Don't forget to pick up your copy of Day After Disaster, Without Land, The Walls of Freedom, Battle for the South, Dark Days in Denver, and The Endless Night at www.authorSarahFHathaway.com. If you love the Changing Earth series and podcast, become a supporter while you're there.